Yeah, what was the question now?
The question was, if you couldn't give that answer, in other words, if there was solid, absolute intelligence that you were going to get hit first, could you and would you counsel our own for a strike? Just if you had to push yourself into that scenario and couldn't give that answer. I mean, it was obvious they were about to strike us. Would you counsel to strike them first, or is your morality and ethics and thinking go well beyond our borders and just around the world, so you'd answer for the world, not the U.S.?
Well, what I would do is, again, we're talking, I guess, in the 50s, because now, of course, it's credible. But in the 50s, it was credible.
Yes, sir. Okay.
People did look at the scenario very carefully.
Okay, so
I would get on the hotline.
Yeah.
I would get on the hotline and say that if you launch your first strike, it's the end of humanity. Whether or not I strike second is irrelevant. The atmosphere will be destabilized. There'll be mass famine throughout the earth. Humanity will be flung thousands of years into the past.
Yes.
And we'll fight World War IV with rocks.
Yes.
As Einstein used to say. So I would get on the hotline and tell my counterpart, or recommend that the president talk to his counterpart, and say that this is madness because he's not going to benefit. Every ruler wants to work in his benefit for his country. And it's not in the benefit of an adversary's country to go back to the Stone Age. But that's what we're talking about.
So, apparently both sides did obviously realize that.
It came very close. I tell you, man, on certain occasions in the 50s, it came very close. With people like Curtis LeMay, later telling people publicly, yes, it came extremely close, with people like him arguing for a first strike.
Well, I know from today's perspective, it's very easy to look back and, I guess vision, it's 2020 and all that when looking in reverse, but at the time, I mean, there were rational arguments perhaps or they would have sounded rational.
That's right. That's why in 54, the recommendation was made for a preemptive first strike through a subcommittee of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because they said explicitly, you wait any longer, and it's too late. It's too late. The Russians will have operational counterforce capability with the Bison and Bear.
That's a damn powerful. It's a damn powerful argument, and it would take quite a leader to say no.
And it took Eisenhower. Eisenhower looked at the results of Solarium. And he canceled all these recommendations from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I think it was the wisdom of Eisenhower, believe it or not, who quietly shelved these plans. There was no Star Wars. There was no way to shoot down the Bison and Bear bomber. So that's why, of course, some people still want to create Star Wars so they can shoot down the.
But in the end, the only thing that kept us from nuclear war was self-interest. That's it.
Self-interest. I think Eisenhower realized that the window had closed. The death had just closed in 54 with the operational Bison and Bear bombers of the Russians that could hit Washington, D.C. with a few atomic bombs.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how close it came. Luckily, we made it, but by the skin of our teeth, I think.
Another really hard question for you, Professor, would be, if you were in a position to give the other side, the little bit of help they need to help close that door and prevent what otherwise would happen, would you do such thing in the interest of the world? Otherwise called spying, I suppose, but...
Well, I think it's in the interest of everybody to wind down the crisis rather than accelerate and proliferate.
You bet.
Wind it down rather than accelerate it.
Professor, hold tight.
Have been given for scientists who've investigated the crumbs off Einstein's table, like Bose Einstein condensates, won several Nobel Prizes for individuals. Yeah, all of which was predicted by Albert Einstein. And of course, he spent the later decades of his life searching for the unified field theory. And that, of course, is now the dominant theme within my field, theoretical physics. It's a gold rush. If you're young and ambitious, you want to crack the unified field theory. There's a bunch of Nobel Prizes waiting for young people who can crack the biggest problem of all time.
I'm curious about something with regard to Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you suppose, Professor, there was a moment when Einstein said to himself, before he let anybody know about anything, look, I understand in my own mind that what I am about to do is the equivalent of handing a 4-year-old child a cherry bomb and a lit match.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you suppose, and with his intellect, he still handed us the cherry bomb and the match? I mean, he really did, and there had to be that moment for him.
Well, it happened in stages. First of all, he knew it was a cherry bomb, but he did not have the match. And originally, he thought the match was impossible. And in the 1920s, journalists would always ask him about E=mc squared and whether a bomb could be made.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you point out, yeah, it is a cherry bomb. It's there, but there's no match, you see. And what shocked him was that the match was finally created in the late 30s with a chain reaction. Einstein never thought that there could be a chain reaction that could then set off. He made one reference to a chain reaction right away.
So then he didn't really fully understand the implications of his early work at that moment.
Well, he knew that a bomb could be made if you could have this match. And he toyed with the idea of a chain reaction. There's one quote where he actually says that perhaps there's some way to magnify the minute energy contained within a nucleus. But he didn't know the steps by which to do this. And that, of course, was done by Otto Hahn, Liz Meitner in the late 1930s, giving us the possibility of critical mass. So with Einstein, he knew that there was potential to release enormous amounts of energy. He suspected that the stars got their energy this way. So it was possible to unleash this energy. Just look at the sun, right? Just look at the galaxy.
Sure.
So he knew that nature unleashes this technology. He didn't think that on Earth you could unleash the power of the sun. Now we know, of course, that an atomic bomb is nothing but a piece of the sun placed on the Earth. But so Einstein suspected that this was a secret of the stars. But he had no way of lighting the match.
Yeah.
Now we know how to light the match.
Right.
And that's caused all this problem.
So he couldn't see that far ahead, simply put. All right. Michael from Kansas City has a really good question. Since we've been on this bomb topic, this is a really good one. Whatever happened to the neutron bomb? Now, the neutron bomb would have changed everything, or shouldn't it have? Or do we have neutron bombs? Do we still have them? They killed without blowing stuff up, right?
People call them the landlord's bomb because it's a clever way to evict the tenants without damaging your building.
How effective would that bomb, or is that bomb? I mean, could you destroy an entire, just kill everything in a city without touching, blowing anything up?